Welcome back. You are now watching the political segment of the weekend show. We'll be discussing the National Assembly's passage of the Electoral Act with conditionalities. The Nigerian senators on Thursday, July 15th, I beg your pardon, denied the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the power to transmit results of elections electronically. Rather, the lawmakers empowered the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, and the National Assembly to determine the use of electronic transmission in an election. Joining us on today's program to discuss this and more, we have
Ario Dare Atoye, returning back on this segment, a political analyst. Welcome back on the Weekend Show.
Thank you for having me.
And King Onoja, a legal practitioner. Welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me.
Virtually, we have God bless Otubere, President ready to lead Africa. And so, God bless, I'll just start with you just to give a foundation to this discussion. What's your take on the current conversations across the country on the Electoral Act which, and the brouhaha in the National Assembly? Yes. So, God bless, what's your take on the position of the National Assembly on the Electoral Act? Okay, we may be experiencing technical difficulties, so we'll just come straight to the studio.
So same question to you, Onoja.
There's a palpable sense of disappointment. We can't but be disappointed, not just in the very fact of the passage of the amendments, particularly with respect to the transmission of results electronically, but also in the quality of the reasoning behind it. The stories that we are told is the basis for refusing to pass it in the manner it was before. It's insulting even to the psyche of, or to the intellect of the average Nigerian, because these are mundane issues that are not only easy to resolve and are resolvable, but contradict the position of the government, of the ruling party, in several other instances. They quickly say that there's not sufficient enough network coverage around the country for them to be able to support electronic transmission of results. But the technology is actually quite easy, right? We all send text messages. You can do this by text. You don't even have to have internet connection. You can encode the text message, having imputed the result, that only a dedicated server can decode it. You can do that. It's actually quite, you can send the results by USSD code. We have POS operators all over the country, including in the local governments and the areas of some of the people that say that there's no network coverage. How do they function? We have, and again, the technology is also simple. You're out of coverage area. The machine or the phone or the device that you use to send the result can capture the result and send it out of coverage area. At the end of the day, all those machines have to be gathered together and sent to the state capital. There's coverage in every state capital in this country, right? Once you get into coverage area, automatically the result sends. That's the reason why in the Ondo elections, even though there were a lot of riverine areas that didn't have network coverage, we were able to have 95% of the results in before midnight. So when they say that, you're looking at the person funny. Well, what are you talking about? On the one hand. On the other hand, this is a government that threatened us not once, not twice, not 3 times, that we must go and do registration for the National Identity Card Scheme, NIN. That we must do a NIN registration, otherwise our phone numbers will be blocked off. Where was this lack of network coverage conversation at that time? Why did the Minister of Digital Communication not know that we did not have network coverage at that time? Why did the NCC, which quickly rushed to the media yesterday to say, oh, Nigeria has only about 50% coverage, why did they not know that we didn't have network coverage at that time? once you take into consideration the quality of reasoning given in defense of this rather inane piece of legislation, it's worrisome. It really is. The only conclusion anybody can reach is that there is a class of people who know that in a free, fair, and credible election, they cannot win, because their record in office for the last 6 years has been truly abysmal. They know that. And so all these shenanigans that we're seeing, trying to get an APC member onto the board of INEC, trying to ensure that we cannot have greater integrity of our election by transmitting results electronically to give us an online real-time situation, they know these things are being thwarted simply for the reason that we cannot have an election, and that we'll have an election that they can manipulate to perpetuate themselves and their abysmal form of governance in power after 2023.
Ariel, it's good he mentioned the national identity number, because that was the first thing I thought about. If you were able to say, let's do this all over the country, in the House of Reps, the PDP representatives walked out of the hall. In the Senate, it's interesting that Ali Ndume, who used to be under the People's Democratic Party, has said it's the PDP who wants to use electronic transmission to rig, even cited the US election, and also referred to the PDP as bringing Yahoo Yahoo and Hush Puppy. But from what Nigerians see it as, the people voting against electronic transmission are people from the ruling party. Do you feel this is a deliberate attempt to rig the 2023 elections?
Well, again, thank you very much for having me, and I think I don't want to take the word out of your mouth. It's not just deliberate. We've seen it playing out. Ali Ndume, I think, recently said there was light
at the end of the toilet.
At the end of the toilet, you know. So, for a senator that is even ignorant, or probably at that level, cannot come to terms with reality, and cannot independently seek information through some of their aides. You know, the essence of having legislative aides is for them to go on a voyage of research and to be able to brief these lawmakers. They didn't do any of that. Now, these are lawmakers ordinarily, just like my brother said about me. We should have asked questions. That you're talking about lack of coverage, or probably low internet penetration in some part of the country. So how come the same Pantami, Minister of Communication or whatever, has been telling Nigerians to go and do NIN registration? Is it a sectional registration? Is it a registration that is restricted to a category of persons? And I think at this junction, it's also important now to our lawmakers, they shouldn't wait till they resume to start raising dust, including petitioning Pantami and also going to court. We also need to sue this minister. Nigerians must not allow this to lie low, because we need to scrutinize why this same minister told us to do this. And this same minister, because there is no way the man that came from NCC would have come yesterday without seeking the leave of the minister, according to civil service bureaucracy. And it means that a lot of things is fishing. Now, we are seeing an attempt at rigging the entire country, not just the elections. The entire country is being rigged to achieve whatever agenda that we don't yet know. And I don't think Nigerians should wait for them, you know, to achieve whatever anything they are planning or they have in the offing. Because in a nation that you have experts, global experts, a nation that also has the resources to even borrow ideas from other climes, and you are telling us they sent some people to the National Assembly to come and lie to Nigerians? Like I said here, before the advent of GSM, people like Ndume, or probably some of their leaders, were using Turaya in this same country. And these are mobile companies that they do both data and voice. And you are saying we cannot transmit results electronically. That is not true. Apparently, we are seeing an attempt at also rigging the legal framework guiding our elections, because these people are not ready for election. They are afraid. And what we saw also in the House of Representatives was terribly bad for our democracy. On the day of the voting, on Thursday, electronic transmission of results actually sailed twice. Twice it sailed. But the chairman, because who presided, that's the deputy speaker, said, no, I'm not going to allow it because judging from his own state. And this is a man that is from Plateau State, which is not true. Plateau State is covered. And he tried as much as possible to frustrate the voice vote that actually had the day. People called for a division. The man also frustrated it. And for once, I think I appreciated the spokesperson of the House who came on a sister station to actually express also his concern that actually we didn't follow the rules. Because when there was contention, there should have been a division. I can tell you that those who were in favor of electronic transmission of results unencumbered without condition will have sailed in the House. Why? Because some of those young lawmakers, they know that some of their governors, some of the senators are going to deny them ticket. And some of them are popular. They know they can contest on their own merit. That was why we had more people in the House of Representatives in favor of electronic transmission of results. And that was why division was not allowed. But in the Senate, they've seen that, yeah, they're going to have the numbers. And we have to also commend the Senator Inaya Baribe, who exposed some of those senators, especially from the southern part of the country, who rebelled against the decision, collective decision of the governors of the southern states. Because for sometimes it's not about the supremacy of your party. It's about the overriding interest, overriding public interest, and the interest of your own people.
Which leads me to my follow-up question, Aria, which is two-pronged. So, what is the way forward now? You've embarked on an advocacy for over a year now, yes, just trying to push this, and it seems
has been very supportive.
Very supportive. And when we watched that, we were absolutely heartbroken. Like, is this the end of the road? That's the first question. The second question I wanted to ask you is, what are the implications of this Senate amendment of having the NCC and this National Assembly now being the overseers of the electronic transmission?
So the good news here, and that's where we also, I was happy when you invited me to be here, simply because another round of advocacy has started. In the House of Representatives, what was passed was what was on the bill as at February, which giving INEC the discretionary power to determine any means suitable. Even though there was an attempt to be very crooked by the House Majority Leader when he said everything electronic should be deleted, and that was a breaking news. But I think they have to walk themselves back and say, look, this is not good for our democracy. So they've retained the previous provision. So now we are going to another stage, which is conference. They call it conference, where there will be harmonization of those provisions between the House and the Senate. So what we now need to do is for us to mount that pressure for the position of the House of Representatives to prevail, simply because the decision of whatever the Senate has passed actually contravenes Section 78 of the Constitution. And we don't want to wait till we have used it and now we now get to the point of, to the level of Supreme Court before finally deleting it from the electoral, because that's what's going to be, I mean, the court is going to delete it because it is unconstitutional, it is null and void. So what we need to do as Nigerians, the media, is for us to ensure that at conference we are able to get that of the provision of the House to sail here, such that INEC is now left with the power to decide the means and mode. And you could see that they actually prevented the INEC chairman from coming. They had already invited him to come and speak to these issues, but they prevented him last minute because some people told them that there is no way the INEC chairman was going to come and lie to Nigerians, because he has already made it clear that electronic transmission of results is good for our country and they are capable of doing it. So they prevented him, and that's part of what we call a political coup ahead of 2023. So Nigerians now, what we now need to do, it is not over for those who are mounting pressures on the lawmakers, but I think the information we need to get now is for us to know the nominees of the Senate and nominees of the House of Representatives, including the leadership who are going to work together, you know, to have a conference resolution. So our next target now is the conference resolution to ensure that that nebulous provision that has been inserted by the Senate, you know, does not pass and is outrightly deleted. So we will stand with that of the House of Representatives. It is better to give INEC this discretionary power, even though we are not fully satisfied, but that's the best we can run with at this moment.
So this is my concern. I remember when Cynthia was here a week ago and we had the same conversation, and Nana as well. And this is to you because you're a lawyer. They spoke about how it should be explicit in the law. Yeah. So even by giving INEC discretionary powers, who appoints the chairman of INEC? Who appoints the executive director of NCC? Who appoints the minister of communications? It's all the executive. And at the end of the day, because they were not elected by the people, they still take directives from the executive one way or the other, regardless of the independence which we say, because we saw what happened with the nomination of Loretta Onoche. So, shouldn't this be explicitly stated in the law that electronic transmission, we're not even saying vote electronically, aren't we still giving them a chance to do what they want to do by saying INEC has the right to choose if they want to or not?
I will say very quickly that the position regarding INEC is very different from the position regarding NCC, right? Yes. The NCC is a body that is it's a part of the executive. It's a subservient body to the executive. The Constitution specifically states that even though the president, subject to the confirmation of the Senate, appoints the INEC chair, the INEC as an institution is not expected to take direction from anybody. That's what Section 78 says. Absolutely. It has to maintain its independence, which is the reason why it sets up. You can't hire and fire the INEC chairman willy-nilly, right? There's a need for confirmation from the Senate. And to remove him, you need 2/3 majority in the Senate. So you just can't hire and fire him anyhow. It gives him some sort of security of tenure so that he can be independent. He can lead the institution to being independent. Now, I must commend the INEC chair, current INEC chair, because the entire concept of electronic transmission of results is his idea. He brought it on board, right? And he's standing by his guns and saying, we can do this. We can actually do this. And he's refusing to prevaricate or to lie to anybody. And he said, we can do this. Absolutely. Why did he come up with it? Because he seeks to protect the lives and the welfare of his staff. Remember that in the 2019 election, while trying to hijack election results that were being transported from a local government to a state collation center, or election results that were being transported, a resident electoral commissioner in Benue State was attacked and killed. Routinely, we see INEC staff being attacked and killed. Routinely, we see them being kidnapped and subjected to gunpoint. Why? Because subjected to declaring results under duress at gunpoint because of manual transmission of results. What our laws currently say is that the result must go from the polling unit to the ward collation center. Now, from that ward collation center, that journey from the polling unit to the ward collation center to the local government collation center is typically where elections are rigged. Typically.
Absolutely.
And I know this from several years of, observing elections. It's typically there. What he's trying to do is preserve the integrity of the elections by insisting that the results go from the polling unit directly online, real time, to a portal that everybody can observe. Do you see what I mean? So he's saying that those my staff that you attack is needless. Don't attack them. Don't kill them, because there's nothing they can do. Now, it's really instructive that a senator whose election results was declared under duress at gunpoint, right? Voted to, abstained from voting, was absent. Because he knows that if this is passed, one is voted. I was coming there. I was like, don't jump the gun. Because he knows that if this was passed as is,
absolutely,
he will not be in the Senate.
Absolutely.
He knows. Another one voted and voted against, again, because he knows
what he did.
He knows what he did. And he knows that if he is not in a position where results can be declared under duress, there's absolutely no way he'll make it back to the Senate. He knows. And so here they are, subverting the integrity of our elections on the platform of their very selfish, very primordial.
So what can be done?
What can be done?
And what do Nigerians need to do?
What can be done? And I'll say it. I saw an affidavit here. And I saw an affidavit. And I'll do it again. What can be done, one, is that this is going to go to conference, like Ariel said. They have to harmonize. There are varying versions of the bill in the National Assembly. Absolutely. They have to harmonize. So this isn't completely over. Absolutely. We can continue to put the pressure to ensure that at that harmonization stage, what is right is done. We can continue to put that pressure on the one hand. On the other hand, if this passes as is and is signed into law by Mr. President, immediately Section 78 conflicts, Section 78 of the Constitution will conflict, will be in the other way round. It's the other way round.
Section
what
50.
must be constant is the Constitution. Yes. Section 52, subsection 3 will immediately be in conflict with the provisions of the Constitution. Sure. I commit that if Mr. President signs the law signs the bill into law as is, I will go to court to challenge it, to say that this is in conflict with the provisions of the Constitution, and as such, a court must declare it illegal, null and void. Absolutely. Because it robs INEC of its independence.
But you know,
I commit that I will do that.
We will
awesome.
not,
so Ario, this is
want you to get to that level.
Exactly, and this is your last word. So I want you again to speak to Nigerians and what they can do, because these platforms are very powerful. We had a conversation just last week about the impact of confirming a clearly partisan individual, Loretta Onyoche, into the INEC, and the Senate rejected her. Yes. So we applaud the senators for doing that, but we didn't know they were going to give us a heavier blow with this amendment. So what do Nigerians need to do? How can we keep advocating and ensure that there is that proper harmonization, like you said, that's reflective of
the Senate President said he received about 900 text messages on a single day. And I think we should give him 9 million and ahead of the conference. Yes, we should do that to him and the speaker. And also when we want to assure Nigerians, when we get the committee names, members of the committee will make their names and phone number available to Nigerians, and also to their constituents. To lobby and to put pressure on them, to call them, to tell them what they must do. And we are also going to do probably a series of actions that are civil in nature for us to get this done. Because, you see, if we wait for the court action, in case this is signed into law, that's the version of the Senate, a lot of election will have been concluded, because we won't have the final say until the Supreme Court has pronounced on it. There will be the Court of First Instance, Appeal Court, and the Supreme Court. But we don't want that. I think we can make do with the version of the House of Representatives, because we found ourselves in this very dilemma. However, the two of them can come together and still say, let us take all of this away and give Nigerians electronic transmission of results. So one thing is this: we are calling all our scientists, technologists to come and debunk what NCC has said, so that probably that will also add to the knowledge of the conference that this is what we should do, what is right and just for Nigerians.
Ariel, Onaja, thank you guys so much for your time. All right, that's all we have for you on today's program. Keep on advocating, keep on pushing. Your voices are important. Your voices are being heard. As Ariel said, the time is now to keep on pushing. Do not relent, all right? We'll see you same time, same place next week. Until then, follow us on social media at Weekend Show NG, at TOSTV Network, at Osasu Igbinadion,
At Andy Madaki.
On Instagram, Facebook, and other social media handles. You can read news on sustainable development and current affairs across Africa on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. Sign up for the Osasu Show Symposium exactly 30 days from today. The theme is State of the Nation, the People's Constitution. These conversations and more will be had on that platform, all right? It's August 16th at the International Conference Center, Abuja at 8 a.m. prompt. Take very good care of yourself. God bless you.